I stared intently at the banking app on my phone, memories flooding back of my father's words from 3 years ago. No trust fund for you until you land a respectable job like your brother. He'd scoffed. No daughter of mine is going to waste her life investing in startups from a laptop. Now, at 26, I sat in my private office on the 92nd floor of Manhattan's most expensive skyscraper, overseeing a $12 billion investment fund specializing in failing banks. Not that my family knew, they probably thought I was still waitressing somewhere, as Mom loved to say, learning the value of hard work. Miss Chin, my assistant's voice crackled over the intercom. The report on First Heritage Bank just arrived. Their situation is worse than expected. First Heritage, where my father had served as a board member, where my brother was a VP, and where our family's reputation was rooted in generations of old money and connections. Send it in, I replied, already knowing what I'd find. The report confirmed my analyst's worst predictions. First Heritage was quietly crumbling. Bad loans, poor management, and a failure to adapt digitally had left them vulnerable. Their stock had been declining for months, but pride kept my family from admitting their beloved bank was in trouble. My phone buzzed with a reminder from Mom about Sunday dinner at 7 p.m., though I suppose you're too busy with your investment hobby to join us. I hadn't attended the last 6 dinners, unable to stomach my brother's bragging about his crucial role at the bank, or Mom's hints about suitable executives I should meet. I called my CFO Claire. What's our current stake in First Heritage? I asked. She pulled up the figures on her tablet. Through various shells and overseas entities, we own 47%. One more purchase and we'll have controlling interest. I smiled, recalling how many times I'd sat at our family dinners, listening to Dad and my brother debate bank matters, never realizing they were talking about me, about the small investor they dismissed. The shareholders' meeting is next week, Claire continued. They're expecting you to attend, though they don't know it's you. The SEO, Senior Executive Officer, was eager to meet the mysterious Ms. Zhang, the anonymous investor who'd been quietly acquiring their stock. That was my alias. My mother's maiden name, used to build my empire while staying under the family radar. For 3 years I'd worked in stealth, using the last of my trust fund to invest in struggling banks, turn them around, and forge a reputation as the most formidable unseen force in banking. Time to make my move. I pulled up the shareholder meeting details. Schedule the final purchase for 10 minutes before the meeting starts, I instructed. I want to walk in owning 51% of First Heritage. Claire hesitated. Your family will be there, your father on the board, your brother, everyone. I cut her off. Once I take control, we'll review every executive position. It's time for a change. My phone buzzed again, a text from my brother. Hey sis, I hear you're still playing investor. Want a real job at the bank? I could use an assistant. I took a deep breath, remembering the day they cut me off. Mom crying about how I was wasting my education, Dad threatening to disinherit me, my brother smugly offering to help me get a job at the bank. Player, I whispered, standing up. Make sure our team is ready and bring my car around. I need to go shopping. Shopping? I smiled. If I was about to shatter their illusions about my career, I'd do it in style. After all, First Heritage's worst nightmare wasn't some mysterious Ms. Zhang. It was the daughter they'd written off as a failure. In the boardroom, nervous energy buzzed. Through the glass, I watched my father adjust his tie for the 10th time, my brother trying to project importance among the senior executives, and Mom sitting quietly, probably wondering why I hadn't responded to her latest message about a nice young banker. Miss Zhang's representatives are here, the CEO announced, voice trembling. No one had ever seen the elusive investor who'd been quietly buying up their shares. I checked the clock, 9:50 a.m. In exactly 10 minutes, my final purchase would complete. My team was in position, documents prepared. A woman nearby complimented my Chanel suit. Are you here with one of the board members? She asked. I smiled, recalling how many times I'd been dismissed in rooms like this. Something like that, I replied. At precisely 10 a.m. my phone vibrated. Claire's message was simple, 51% confirmed. You own First Heritage Bank. The CEO stepped up to the podium, trying to muster confidence. But I stood, heels clicking on marble, and interrupted. I believe there's been a change to the agenda. Silence fell. Mom's hand flew to her throat. Dad's face paled. My brother's smug smile froze, then cracked. Sarah, he stammered, what are you doing here? This is a shareholders' meeting. I handed the CEO a folder. As of 10 minutes ago, I own 51% of First Heritage. These documents confirm the transfer of control to my fund. The CEO's hands trembled as he read. This can't be, he muttered. A board member asked, Miss Zhang, I presume? I took my place at the head of the table. I'm Sarah Chin, CEO of Phoenix Capital Partners, I announced. Though some of you might remember me as the daughter who needed to learn the value of real work. Mom made a choking sound. Dad looked as if he'd seen a ghost. This is ridiculous, my brother yelled. Sarah just plays with investments on her laptop. I'm not sure she's your new boss. I projected my portfolio onto the screen. Phoenix Capital Partners, $12 billion in assets, specializing in banking acquisitions and turnarounds, currently the most successful private investment fund in the sector. The room's gaze fixed on the list of banks we'd acquired and revived. Dad's grip tightened on the table, recognition dawning as he saw the names of competitors who'd mysteriously recovered after near collapse. Now, I continued, let's discuss the bank's digital transformation, or rather, its complete neglect of it. Would anyone like to explain why First Heritage still operates as if it's stuck in 1985? We have a digital strategy, my brother insisted every week. But their app crashes every other day and their security protocols are so lax a teenager could hack them. Their mobile banking looks like it was designed when I was in kindergarten, and their loan approval process still relies on stacks of paper forms. The CEO cleared his throat. Miss Chin, ma'am, perhaps we should discuss this privately. Oh, now you want a private chat? I smiled coldly. Interesting. When my investment team suggested modernization 6 months ago, you dismissed us as just young people who don't understand traditional banking. Finally, my father found his voice. Sarah, honey, Mr. Chin. I cut him off. Board members should address the majority shareholder formally during meetings. We can do family titles at dinner, if I'm still invited. Mom was frantically typing on her phone, probably updating her country club friends on her daughter's surprising transformation from disappointment to banking powerhouse. First order of business, I said, opening my laptop. A complete review of all executive positions, including, of course, the board of directors. My brother's face went from red to white. Dad's grip on the table tightened. But before I continued, I smiled again. Would anyone like to discuss the value of a real job? Every hand shot up, except my brother's, which shook visibly. 2 hours later, the old guard of First Heritage Bank had been thoroughly dismantled. My father sat quietly watching his decades of traditional policies get erased in minutes. Excellent. I closed my laptop. The transition team starts tomorrow. You'll all receive emails about your new roles. Mom remained rooted in her seat, clutching her phone like a lifeline. The last message I saw from her read, "Cancel dinner with Richard's son. My daughter apparently owns banks now." I hereby adjourn this meeting, I announced, except for the Chin family. We have some private matters to discuss. As the room emptied, my brother tried to slip out. Sit down, Michael, I said softly. Your calendar just cleared. When we were alone, the air was thick, heavy enough to crush steel. Dad stared at his reflection in the polished table. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief, and Michael looked as if he might be sick. 3 years, I finally said. 3 years of when will you get a real job? 3 years of being the family embarrassment. 3 years of listening to Michael brag about his VP role while I quietly bought out the bank from under him. Mom started to speak. We just wanted to control you, to push you into our version of success, she said. I pulled up the bank's financials on the screen. While you all played status games at country clubs, First Heritage was dying. Your traditional values nearly destroyed a 100-year-old institution. We were protecting our legacy, Dad weakly added. No, I interrupted. You were clinging to the past while the world moved forward without you. Do you know why I used Mom's maiden name to build my fund? Because Chin meant more to you than your own daughter's dreams. You were so obsessed with reputation that you couldn't see the world changing around you. Michael finally found his voice. So this is revenge. Taking over the bank to punish us. I chuckled. Revenge? Michael, I just saved your career. In 6 months, First Heritage would have collapsed. My fund has been keeping your stock afloat for over a year. That's impossible, Dad protested. We would have known. Really? I shot back. Like you knew your daughter was running a $12 billion investment fund. They looked at me stunned. Face it, I said, you stopped seeing clearly a long time ago. Mom wiped away tears. All those dinners you missed, I was busy buying your bank. And it's hard to enjoy family dinners when everyone treats you like a failure. I straightened my suit. Here's how this goes. Going forward, Dad, you keep your seat as Chairman Emeritus. No power, just the title. Michael, you'll start from the bottom in our digital training program. Learn how modern banking really works. And Mom, I said softly, you can keep planning country club dinners. Just stop trying to set me up with banking executives. I prefer not to date my employees. Feeling lighter than I had in years, I gathered my things. Oh, and about Sunday dinners, I added. I'll start attending again on one condition. Anything, Mom said quickly. We rotate locations. My penthouse has a perfect view of all the banks I own, including this one. As I headed for the door, Dad called out, Sarah, when did you get so powerful? I turned back, remembering all those times I sat silently at their dinner table, listening to them underestimate me. Dad, I said, you just never bothered to notice. In the elevator, I checked my phone. Dozens of missed calls from relatives suddenly realizing their failed family member was now a financial titan. A text from Claire flashed across my screen. Next target acquired. Another family-owned bank in dire need of modernization. I smiled, imagining the shocked faces I'd left in the boardroom. Sometimes success isn't about proving your family wrong. It's about showing them their definition of success was wrong all along. I typed a quick message to Claire. Schedule a cleaning service for my penthouse. I'm hosting Sunday dinner this week. Let's show my family what their hobby investor has built. Because after all, revenge might taste sweet, but true success, real, undeniable success, is even better when served with a side of humility.